All right, guys. Today I wanted to go over a little bit about the level two, the time and sales. I had a couple people request a webinar or video lesson kind of explaining what's going on with the time and sales level two, how to identify hidden buyers, hidden sellers, and just to understand exactly what's going on in these areas right here. Because I mean, a lot of the trading we do is based on charts, but it can be really helpful to understand exactly what's happening in the stock, all the transactions that are happening, and what you're seeing here between the bids and the offers. And you'll notice that, like this morning on AUPH, remember we shorted 315, and the reason I added at 312 partially was because there was a huge hidden seller at 313 that I was able to identify. So let's just start with some very basic stuff. What you see on the left side here are all the bids. These are people looking to purchase the stock at the price you see. And on the right side are offers. These are people looking to sell and or short sell. And they're up on the offer on the right side of level two here. Someone was saying that they were having, difficulty understanding what the colors mean. The colors don't mean anything. All they're there for is just to be easier on the eyes, so we can see what's at which level. So you'll see 54 is all yellow, 53 is all green, 52 is blue. It's just to make it easier on the eyes so you can see what levels are what. Okay, that's all that is. So if you, for example, want to buy some AUPH and you wanted to buy it at the bid price or below, then obviously you just use a bid and order. And if I put 1,000 shares down at 254 on EdgeX, then that 14 is going to turn into a 2424. And these are in multiples of 100. So 14 means 1400. 7 means 700, 1 means 100. So if I put down 1,000 shares on EdgeX right now, it's going to change that 17 to a 27. And I'll still have to wait for someone to sell me the shares at 54. So you can see here on the right side, this is every transaction that's happening on the stock. This is one thing that there's a lot of fluff on level two. People put big, fake bids, fake offers. There's a lot of HFTs and algos. People put orders down and cancel them. The one thing that's real is this time and sales. These are the actual buys and sells happening in the stock in real time. So you can see as of recently, someone sold some sells at 54. Someone just bought 100 shares at 55. And you can see there's 200 shares left on the offer now at 55. Now 300. Watch the time and sales and let's see the next print that comes through. So if you want to buy the stock, you have two options. One is you can sit on the bid or below the bid and wait for a seller. The other option is you can get in right now by bidding the offer price. So by bid 57, it's just going to remove the liquidity from 57. It's going to remove those shares. So someone just bought 1,200 shares of EdgeX at 257, and that came right off the 5,000 shares that was on the offer at EdgeX right there at 257. So there was 5,000 showing. He bought 1,200, and it just took it. He removed liquidity from the market. So yesterday I talked about the difference between adding and removing liquidity. To keep it as simple as possible, if you are adding liquidity to the market, you're making these numbers bigger. You're adding to available shares to buy and sell in the market. If you're removing liquidity, you're taking away from these offers and bids. So again, if I want to get short right now, for example, I could short 1,500 shares of EdgeX right here at 255, and I would just take that liquidity from 255. Now on the other side, if I want to get long, I could either add liquidity to the bid, 255, 254, and just wait for someone to sell to me. So I'll have to wait for some red prints to come through and someone to sell me those shares. Or I can remove the liquidity from the offer. So right now there's 1,100 shares at 56. If I go bid 56, just take a look at the bottom here. If I go buy 1,000 at 56 and hit enter, it will remove the 1,000 shares on the offer right there. I will be removing liquidity from the market. So you can add or remove liquidity anytime you want. And the only real difference is usually, almost always, removing liquidity is more expensive. Okay, you're taking away from the market. So depending on which route you use, you get charged different amounts for removing liquidity, unless your broker is trading you per share, or sorry, per trade instead of per share. In which case, a lot of them have flat rates, like $5 a trade, $10 a trade, and so forth. So, I guess, I'm trying to think of what else to say about it. Sometimes I forget that some of you guys are really, really new, and it's good to know this stuff. So, I want to do this webinar to have it available for you guys to review and just to be able to fully understand exactly what's going on. So let's just watch the stock a little bit more, and I'll just sort of commentate and show you guys what I'm seeing in the level 2. Right now we have some pretty big bids at 255, so there's 3,100 shares, 600, you get about like 5,000 shares here on the bid, or 4,500 shares on the bid. We got 1,200 shares in the offer. You can see someone just pulled that offer, so it wasn't purchased. You can see that the print didn't go through here. He actually just canceled the order. Let's see if they take out those 57s now on AUPH. So we're kind of in the end of day now, so there's not a whole lot of momentum, especially in a stock that's been in a downtrend all day. As I mentioned earlier, we shorted this one. Man, what a fader too. I mean, we should have held this a little longer maybe. But let's take a look at UVXY. Now here's an example of a stock that I don't even bother looking at the level 2 or the time and sales, guys. With a stock like UVXY trading 60 million shares, most of the liquidity you're seeing in here is actually HFTs, high frequency trading machines, algorithms. A lot of it's not even humans, not even retail or humans trading, okay? You're not going to get much information from watching a level 2 on a stock like UVXY. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think JB even looks at level 2 when he's trading futures, okay? Yeah, you can look at the prints that are going through, and this is all real. What you're seeing on the level 2 is a lot of fluff. There's a lot of just, bids and offers being pulled and added. You can see the numbers are going crazy. It's just going to give you a headache to bother watching that or looking at it. So let's go back to the reason why I like to use level 2 in time and sales in certain small cap stocks is because you actually can get a lot of information out of it on stuff that's more traded by retail and less traded by HFTs and algos. So something like SKLN, NSPR recently, these types of stocks, there's a lot more retail, real traders just like us getting in and out of the stock. And these prints, you can actually learn a lot from these prints. So for AUPH this morning, for example, how did I know that there was a hidden seller at 313 back here? Simply because if it's showing that there's 600 shares in the offer at 56, and then you see a plethora, a whole string of green prints, well over 600 shares, and the price isn't increasing and no new bids are coming in, it means that, for example, that 300 share offer, let's say at 57, is actually a hidden order, and there could be 5,000 shares there, but it's only showing 300. So people call those hidden orders. I've heard them referred to as refreshers, is what we used to call them back in my prop trading days, or iceberg orders. Just because there's a hidden order doesn't necessarily make the stock bullish or bearish. It's just good to know what's going on within the stock. So, for example, this morning I shorted 315 on AUPH, but the reason I hit the bid at 12 and removed liquidity at 312 to get more short was because there was a ton of buy prints, and I mean a lot of buy volume went through that 313 area this morning, and the price wouldn't budge. So there was a big hidden seller in there. And you can see right there, there's 3 full minutes of it just hitting 13, and it wouldn't break. So as soon as the momentum shifted and the red prints came in at 12, I just hit that 12 and enjoyed the ride. So guys, Ken, do you have any questions, or anyone have any questions about bids, offers, adding liquidity, removing liquidity, level 2, time and sales, any of this stuff, or does that pretty much cover it? I want to make sure everybody understands the difference between adding liquidity and removing liquidity, and because there's 2 different ways to get long in the stock. For example, if I want to get long AUPH, like I mentioned earlier, I can either bid at 56, so I can add liquidity. If I add 400 shares, if I bid by 400 shares, at 56, then in that case, I'm going to be adding to the liquidity on the bid here, and I would have to wait for someone to sell me the shares. Or I could sit here and say, well, you know what? I actually want to get long 52 if it gets there. So I can put a bid in at 52 and add 500 shares of liquidity to the market down here at 52 and wait for a seller to hit me. Okay. If I want to get in the stock right now, I think it's going to go up. I can't wait for a seller. In fact, when the stock's bullish, it's harder to get filled on the bid because people are buying from the offer. So if I want to get long right now, I need to remove the liquidity from 257 and get long right away. In order to do that, I just put a bid, and if you look down here, when I press F1, it loads my hotkey for a bid at the bid price. I just need to press up on the arrow pad once, and that gives me 257. If I hit enter, my bid is above the offers at 257. It'll remove the liquidity and get me long at 257. The green prints on the time and sales, these are all buyers. So you can see that, for example, some red at 55, those are sellers. Yes, the red prints are sells, the green prints are buys. 56, there's 1,300 shares on NASDAQ and 1,300 below. Let's see if we can find a print that'll take those out. Right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Again, I don't put too much focus into this, but you'll notice that I do often do things like if I'm watching a stock that I think we can actually get a read on from the time and sales, if I see a lot of people hitting the bid and I see a lot of red prints coming through, and I know it's a stock that is overall the sentiment is bearish on social media and just, then we can get an idea that, look, okay, a bunch of people are probably short the stock now, and I do this a lot. And now if it comes back around and sets up for a long, it's going to be even more powerful because we know that we have shorts trapped. And vice versa, when I see a bunch of people chasing a stock long, this is what happened right here, back on SKLN yesterday. It had that mid-afternoon breakout. Remember, we were saying don't chase the breakout. They often fail in mid-afternoon. As soon as it failed, short trigger. A bunch of longs are in it, and now we get a nice ride down. So guys, I hope that covers it. I can do a more detailed video lesson for our members portal at a later date, but that should give you a basic idea of how the bids and offers work and how the time and sales and level 2s work.